My name is Lindsay Lee Hobson, and I work with forward-thinking organisations to elevate their emerging leaders and create the ultimate next generation of leadership. I'm also the founder of the Learning and Development Collective, where driven and passionate L&D professionals come together to exchange trending topics, innovative ideas, and the best suppliers for their training calendars. And I'm here today with one such supplier. Welcome Daniel Murray, who's an expert at empathetic leadership. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Lindsay. How you going? Good to see you.
Great to see you, and thank you so much for joining us in the studio today. You're actually one of our guest experts for one of our programs in the metaverse called The Evolution, which is a career development program where L&D professionals can support each other and tap into experts just like you on topics that they need in real time. So we'll dig into your topic in just a moment and what you're going to be sharing with us when you join us in The Evolution. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself and the day in the life of a Daniel Murray.
Day in the life's really challenging because it's relatively varied, and I get to work with lots of amazing clients all across Australia, New Zealand, and virtually around the world. So I try to start every morning with walking my dog, not just because I'm walking, because she pets me until we go for a walk, and use that time to listen to an audiobook and start my day thinking and trying to come up with some questions that I want to sort of try and answer and work through during the day, pulling in different things that I've been thinking about, and I usually try and start my day with a bit of thought that hopefully carries on in the subconscious throughout the day. And then it could be anything from dropping my daughter at school and then doing some virtual sessions from home in the studio. Sometimes it's getting on a plane and flying to Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth, wherever it might be, to work with a group of leaders, a leadership team, as I was last week, or speak on a stage and do work at a conference, something like that. So there's always a bit of variety, and when I'm not working, I like to try and go fishing or do something a bit fun in this beautiful place we live.
Yes, oh, that sounds wonderful. And I love that it's so diverse as well, because there's so many different ways with your area of expertise that people would require your services. So obviously you're an expert in empathetic leadership, and that's one of the topics that our members have requested. So tell us a little bit about that and the impact for L&D professionals.
Yeah, it's a pretty important topic. I mean, leadership is one of these things that is challenging because, and I'm sure your people know this, it involves leading many of the intangibles in the world. So it involves things that are hard to measure, hard to tangibly grab onto: relationships, emotions, values, and really what I find a lot of the time is people are very good at managing processes, but not so good at leading people. And where I find empathy comes in is trying to understand why people do what they do, what drives them, what impacts them, what are those things that create that extra special thing that humans can do, which goes beyond just work.
Absolutely. And they're saying in the new day and age as well that the levels of self-awareness amongst individuals are higher, and the ability to look after people on a holistic front when they're in a management role and their teams and things is higher as well. So a skill set like yours, I can imagine, is absolutely invulnerable. In fact, I know it is, because all our members need someone like you to come in and tap into your expertise. So tell us a little bit about how it works as an L&D professional. Is it a topic that's on its own, or do you have it as part of a leadership program? Like, where can an L&D professional get the most use out of an empathetic leadership expert like yourself?
Look, there's a few different ways, and standalone with just about anything is often ineffective. What we're trying to do is look at ways to help leaders to bring tools and skills into the way they do what they do already. And we know that if we try and get them to hit a hard turn left when they're going straight, it's challenging for them. This also comes back to some of the ways in which we work with teams. We try and take a very neuroscientific approach, and neuroscience tells us that we can't change habits instantly. We can't just pivot rapidly. So it's really about thinking about how can we integrate pieces of whether it be theory or tools or actions and behaviors into the daily lives of leaders. So the first way I always work with people is to understand what's going on in their business, what's going on in their teams, what's happening, what are the pressures, what are the challenges, and then we start to sculpt what's the best way to bring some of these tools and frameworks to their people so that they'll be able to incorporate them and use them effectively.
Yeah, amazing. And I can imagine empathetic leadership could be, and that as a topic could be a difficult thing to quantify. Do you have some insights or tips or some results that some of your clients have experienced off the back of incorporating it into their leadership programs?
Yeah, look, there are some obvious ways. So when I say obvious, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily good, but we look at things like employee engagement surveys, pulse checks with teams. If you're an empathetic leader, what we're looking for is your people having a different experience with you, getting a different level of understanding, support, stronger levels of things like trust, curiosity, and understanding. And so often we can help to shape those pulse surveys and those check-ins to see how that's going. The only caution I have around those types of measures is sometimes a team can serve the survey. They start to, or how do we get a good score rather than actually what we're trying to build as a good culture.
Oh, okay, interesting. That's a great insight.
Yeah, and so look, what I really focus on is leaders consistently demonstrating these behaviors and getting individual feedback from their teams on how they're performing and how that's going. Longer term, you'll see things like performance and productivity will obviously improve. You'll see retention rates improve. Even absenteeism can go down quite significantly. And again, there's sort of the difficult things to measure over the long term and put it all back to this space of leadership. But leadership in general is something we know good people leave leaders, they don't leave jobs. And we know that when we can build that trusting environment, productivity improves, speed to decision improves. So there's a lot of positive benefits. And often it's about, again, looking at the way they measure things today and how to incorporate something in there.
Yes, absolutely. And I know for a lot of our members, one of the reasons, just one of many, that they're really interested to get yourself in to share your expertise with them is because they're now working in this hybrid or a semi-remote environment. And how do they keep people engaged and retained and all the things you just mentioned in that facility? So tell us a little bit as well about why empathetic leadership is so important for you specifically. Like, how did you get to this place? Like, love to know just a little bit of backstory about it because it is such a heart-centered topic.
Yeah, look, this might be a bit surprising. I started doing a degree in mathematics. So I've got a degree in pure and applied mathematics, which I don't always tell people because they stop talking to me. But a very analytical thinker, MBA, strategy was my number one. And it was really through working in large projects, programs of work, large organizations, doing these projects where we build perfect Gantt charts and perfect plans and strategies that looked amazing and had all the data to support them, but then on implementation they wouldn't work. And some of my peers in consulting said, well, that's because clients don't know how to implement, and I wasn't so sure that was the 100% truth. A lot of the things I thought was there was a wild card in here we're not seeing. There's something disrupting the system that we're not taking into account. And the biggest wild card is always people. And so what I found was we can do all the analysis we want, but if we don't understand people and culture, then it's going to be very difficult for us to be successful in working out how to implement these things. And a good example, I ran a program of work in New Zealand for a large bank where we had to cut $130 million of costs. But we really focused on how we were going to do it and what impact it would have on people and who was going to drive and how they felt about that, the change that was coming. And because of that, we were successful in saving the money and employee engagement went up. And they were the best bank in New Zealand for the next 5 years. So that's really where, for me, it became a focus and a passion. Then let's work out how to get this part right, because we have too many analytically smart people running around making decisions and running into walls that they can't even see. And so the idea of empathetic leadership is really about creating these leaders who are more aware and intelligent in understanding those intangibles, those things that we so often ignore.
Yes, and I know a lot of our members and just L&D professionals of the forum and in L&D professionals in general share your passion absolutely wholeheartedly. So in conclusion of our interview, what's the one message, your mic drop moment, your key takeaway that those who join us for the roundtable in the evolution will experience?
Look, hopefully there's a number, but the main thing I want to get across is empathy is not a soft skill that is a nice thing to add on. It's a fundamental tool for decision making, for managing and leading people, for understanding business relationships and process. And I want to make sure we always frame it in that context, that it should be thought of as fundamental as things like understanding financial statements, or managing certain processes, as compliance and risk management, because it has a fundamental role to play in how we actually run a successful organization.
Oh wow, I think what you've just shared has helped so many L&D professionals watching this get empathetic leadership across the line proactively in their plans, in their programs, because it helps connect the dots for the people up above who are making the decisions often for these guys. So thank you so much for sharing that. We are so excited in the evolution. Our members are really excited about you coming to join us. Such an incredible topic, and you are such an expert in this area too. So forum members or L&D professionals in general, if you're watching this and you are not yet a member of the Learning and Development Evolution and you want to find out more, have a look around for a prompt on how you can do so. Definitely reach out to Dan. There will be a link around so that you connect with him on LinkedIn too. So Daniel, thanks again. We are very excited and we'll see you in the next one.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it.